We have been covering, the government's still shut down. Isn't it amazing, by the way? We've been covering the peace deal with Hamas and Israel. That is obviously the biggest news story of the day. There are some other things that are going on. We are in, how many days now we shut down?
Nine.
And a bunch of IRS people are getting furloughed?
Half of the agency is being furloughed.
Wow, half of the agency.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
But remember that it was in January when President Trump took office that he took 25% off the top when he first came in. He said, no more of this. So
yes, that's true.
It's a greatly depleted agency.
Already, anyway.
Yeah.
So.
That the previous president wanted to add 85,000 agents to?
Yes.
Oh, sure. That was his
and
big
to
deal.
arm them.
Yeah.
By the way, we're talking about, with the peace deal, just real quick, because I got some other things I want to do. But we're talking about the peace deal. And we're talking about the Nobel Peace Prize. And should Donald Trump get the Nobel Peace Prize? So Argentina's President Javier Milei has nominated Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize, Joan.
Yes.
And it's supposed to be announced in the next day or two. Now, I don't know if Donald Trump cares about a Nobel Peace Prize at this point. It does sound...
Benjamin Netanyahu also, he made a nomination. He whipped out his nomination letter at the White House as well. Azerbaijan's president has done the same thing. Pakistan's government announced it nominated him. He's been nominated from around the world.
There's a few thousand monks on the Cambodia border from stopping that conflict from fully evolving. Mm-hmm. They all nominated him. I think he says he doesn't care in the same capacity that a teenager says he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He cares.
I don't care.
Donald Trump doesn't care like Ozzy Osbourne and Sharon Osbourne didn't care about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Do you know what I mean?
So he was in Virginia, last month, and he was in Virginia visiting the troops. President Trump said this, everyone says I should get it. They'll give it to some guy that didn't do a damn thing. They'll give it to the guy who wrote a book about the mind of Donald Trump. It'll be a big insult to our country.
You know what? So do you think that the Nobel Peace Prize people will acquiesce to the pressure? Because there's worldwide pressure now.
So the BBC has an article that says that what they actually expect them to do is say, well, listen, it hasn't been finalized yet, and the end result hasn't been seen yet. Right. So maybe he'll be nominated for next year. He's only solved 7 wars.
Yeah. No, but
within 9 months.
To that point, what other nations, especially to the Trump haters out there, what other nations have stepped up in this capacity to this end in this short a time?
Yeah, to end these conflicts that are ongoing.
Yeah.
And so I think that, to me, it is painfully obvious.
Yeah.
I think the reason, do you know why I think Donald Trump wants that Nobel Peace Prize? Like, I do. Do you know? Oh, I'm going to ask Eric Trump. Should it be my last question? 8:35, I'm going to ask Eric Trump. Hey, just between us, does your dad really want that Nobel Peace Prize or doesn't he? And what do you think he'll say?
I think he's one of the most media-trained people out there, and he's going to say exactly what his dad said before, that he doesn't really care about it. He would rather solve the problems than be recognized for solving the problems.
Yeah, but I think that for Donald Trump, and I say this as a Trump supporter, he wants to be recognized. We all want to be recognized when we work really hard. So, but I believe that the Nobel Peace Prize people, they've destroyed their credibility. And I don't know, if he doesn't get it this time, that will just tell you that the whole thing is a joke, has always been a joke. Corrupt may be another great way to say it. And we'll have to see ultimately what they do. We were joking earlier about how, I guarantee you that Trump was not slated to be the winner because they've already picked the winner. So, because they're going to announce it, I guess, in a couple of days. But based on the peace agreement between Hamas and Israel, and Joan is right. And by the way, I did say this in the 5 o'clock hour. We don't know where this whole thing is ultimately going to go because there's still some things that need to be ironed out. The Palestinians, Hamas, they have put forward a list of names of prisoners that they want to see returned. And so there might be some sticking points there. So there's still some things that need to be ironed out. But, I mean, Hamas has come out there and they've said, hey, thank you to Donald Trump for trying to get this done. So, and I think with the leaders of Hamas, their ultimate thing, I don't know, do you think their ultimate goal, the leaders of Hamas, is it survival or is it the 72 virgins or whatever it is? Like which is their ultimate goal? Do they want to go see the virgins early, or do they want to survive here on Earth?
I think it's they're gearing up to, as I would term it, pull a sneaky
and just
they're going to regroup like they always do when they get people back.
Well, and that is, Sam, the ultimate point, and it's a great point that you just made, which is something that we've all talked about, which is you can't trust Hamas.
Yeah, you're going to.
You can take the current leadership out of Gaza, but that doesn't mean that you can't, that anti-Israel, anti-West sentiment just runs very deep in Gaza because the Palestinians, they've been taught for generations that the only good Israeli is a dead Israeli.
And they don't, there's no two-party system. If you're raised in this country, you kind of have a couple of ways you can go on your ideology based on where you're raised and who raises you. Over there, it's a one-way street. It is. Everyone understands the same thing. Whether or not that they're going to be fans of it doesn't matter, because if you don't comply, they have no problem using their own people as shields.
Well, exactly. That's their own people as shields, and children, women, the whole thing. So it is amazing, though. What does this say about J.B. Pritzker, and I don't even know who the governor is or the mayor is of Portland or Oregon, but what does it say about these blue cities and states where Trump can find peace in the Middle East, yet they won't work with them on trying to make their cities better? I mean, I think it says a lot. I've got great audio from a guy in Chicago who is calling out the Democrats at their just absolute absurdity. By the way, just very quickly, big honor for yours truly. We were joking about this earlier, but I've gone ahead and posted it now, where the Nashville scene has said that I am in second place as Nashville's best conservative. Number one on that list is literally none. So I am now officially, according to the Nashville scene, second to none. It's none. Second place is Dan Mandis, and third place is Marsha Blackburn. I'm not sure if I should say thank you to the Nashville scene, but because I'm pretty certain that's not a compliment.
I think it also it's a two-handed compliment, because on the one hand you're second to none,
sure,
but then on the other, you're out here doing real journalism, and they're making a mockery of you in the same breath.
I just want to know, who is this none person, and how do I knock him off so that I can be number one? All right, whatever. All right, this guy is in Chicago, and got video. He is in Chicago. He is calling out, as he should, he's calling out the Democrats, because Chicago is still a crap hole. Thanks to J.B. Pritzker, and thanks to Let's Go Brandon Johnson.
Black people in Chicago, let's get this clear for the record so nobody is confused, right? In 2020 and 2021, when Democrats, specifically Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, flooded Chicago with the illegal, undocumented criminal invaders, y'all didn't have nothing to say about that, right? When the mayor, Lori Lightfoot, gave them benefits, millions, prepaid EBT cards with $10,000 on it, prepaid Visa cards, 6 months worth of free rent, free health care, free child care, y'all were okay with that. And then you all continue to be okay with it by going out and voting for Kamala Harris to continue what she was doing with the open borders, right? Now that ICE is there to actually do something about it, right? With Trump's mandate, now you all are boohoo, whining and crying, complaining that ICE is coming to black neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. What the hell is wrong with y'all?
You know what? You got a black man. He's calling out his community, and he's laying it out. And everything that he's saying is true. And so now they're out there saying, these folks in Chicago that it's racist for ICE to target those neighborhoods. The reason why ICE has to target those neighborhoods is because that's where the Lori Lightfoot and J.B. Pritzker and these other folks, that's where they put them, in the black neighborhoods. Remember that whole thing? Where I played you the audio. I don't want to go over it again, but you had people, black people from these communities, showing up at the alderman meetings or whatever they were. And they were mad as heck because the leaders of Chicago were going to raise the property taxes because they were out of money for all the illegal aliens. So, I think that, and here's, what my bottom line is? I might get in trouble for saying this because idiocy comes in all colors. But if you are against ICE going into, or the Border Patrol going into your community to capture bad guys and make your community safer, if you're against that, you're just plain old dumb. Like you are either ill-informed or you're dumb or you're sick in the head.
Bingo.
Afton Bain, I'm talking to you.
Bingo.
Here's more.
Where else are they supposed to go when that's where y'all allowed them to go? You see, Democrats didn't put these illegals in Oak Brook or Oak Park or Evanston, in any of the white neighborhoods, yet you got the white liberals downtown protesting to keep those people there because they know that they're in black neighborhoods.
You know what's interesting? I saw a thing. It was on Twitter somewhere. I should have saved it. But they had it coming up in the next segment. I think I'm going to do it. Talking about Antifa and what Antifa has been doing and all these citizen journalists who have been documenting what Antifa has been doing. But there's all these mugshots of Antifa, right? The Antifa people that they have arrested. I don't think I saw one black person.
I know which one you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they all have some weird haircut for the most part.
They got a
or
weird
some weird
haircut,
makeup.
piercings.
Yeah.
They got the thing in the nose. I forget what you call that thing. But no black people. Why are there no black people in Antifa? Now, maybe there has been. I just don't see them. Yeah. Every time I see the mugshots, the array of mugshots, I mean, they're all white. I think it's because, black people know better than to be part of Antifa. Maybe that's what it is.
I would 100% agree with that.
I don't know, man.
And y'all goofy. Y'all falling for this. Y'all voted for Kamala Harris, and now y'all are protesting ICE coming to black neighborhoods to remove these criminal invaders. Y'all are calling ICE racist for coming to the black neighborhoods. Well, why are they coming to the black neighborhoods? Because that's where you all allowed them to go. So tell me you a goofy Democrat plantation slave without telling me you a goofy Democrat plantation slave.
I love this guy.
And the crazy part is,
I love this guy.
They want to call ICE racist. If that man walked up to an ICE agent and said, "Hey, man, I just want to thank you for what you're doing," they would totally stop and shake hands.
Oh, absolutely.
And people don't get that.
Well, remember what I said. If you are against, if you're like a Democrat and you're saying that ICE is, in your neighborhood is racist, you're ignorant, you're dumb, you're not paying attention, or, all of the above. Like, again, I keep going back to Afton Bain. So there you go.
TikTok.
I keep wanting to play that as my final thing, my final soundbite every single morning. Just that all right. Monica says, "Hey Dan, you need a T-shirt that says second to none and a picture of your Marconi Award. That would be a really cool T-shirt."
Could use the AI-generated Halloween inflatable that I created. That'd be great on the T-shirt.
Yes, you could. Yes, we could. That's not in the budget for WTN.
No.
It's so funny. Every single, you ever notice this, Joan? And I'm not going to dwell on this.
Yeah.
Don't let me dwell on this.
Okay, yeah.
Joan, you know where I'm going with this?
I do.
Every single radio station in this building, the employees walk around with all of their T-shirts and all of their station
merch.
stuff.
Their merch, their swag.
Their swag.
Not us, man.
We got nothing.
Sam actually got something because he went and beat up the promotions guy to get a shirt.
Did you really?
I did not beat up anybody.
All right,
Rich was fine when I left him. If anything happened, it's not on me.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go beat him up too.
I have some stuff that people have given me over the years. Because it's kind of funny. Radio stations, you're supposed to give your listeners things. Things are so bad at WTN as far as that goes. People are giving us merchandise. So I've got I
got this in the 70s.
I've got a really cool tie-dye WTN shirt.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
Yeah, it is nice. It's very nice. It's a very bright tie-dye. And I like faded tie-dye. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So, but I love that shirt. And another guy Samuel made Mandis in the Morning T-shirts, which were also really cool. Oh gosh, funny story about that. And I can't get into it now. Maybe in the 8 o'clock hour, I'll talk about, don't let me forget, it was the most awkward moment that I've ever had as a human being. And I've been through a lot of awkward moments. I think we all know that.
I think not.
So we'll talk about that. But I would so love some WTN T-shirts. But that's okay. You know what? It's all good. You know why? Because I've got Joan and Sam every morning. Who needs T-shirts when you've got Joan and Sam?
Joan and Sam. We need T-shirts.
And you know what else? You know what? If we get T-shirts, I'm not going to say it.
And coffee mugs.
But you know what else? Do you know what else we have, Joan and Sam?
What do we have?
Our listeners.
We do. We do.
And you know, I don't do this job, for the paycheck. I don't do it for the notoriety. I certainly don't do it to be second to none, according to the Nashville scene. I don't do it for all that. I do it for the listeners. Because our listeners are awesome. And they've been with us through thick and thin for many, 12 years I've been here. And I've met our listeners, and I'm not being sappy. I'm not being sappy. When the alarm goes off at midnight and I got to get up, I think, you know what? I'm not gonna sleep for another 15 minutes. I'm not gonna hit the snooze button. You know why?
I did today.
You know why?
Why?
Because our listeners are depending on us. Well, they're depending on me. Clearly, you don't care, Joan, because you hit the snooze button.
I'm sorry. Did you say something?
I'm a non-snoozer. We've been kind of joking about Nashville scene naming me second to none, best conservative in Nashville. Came out this morning. You can look at my Facebook page or my Twitter feed. There was a big meeting of actual journalists yesterday. Did you hear about this? I thought this was great. I don't know if you saw any of this, Joan, but you have Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, President Trump, and others. And they hosted citizen journalists to talk about Antifa. And the question on the table was, should Antifa be considered a terrorist organization? Now, I believe that they should. And so one of the things that they did, and this is the President of the United States, taking time out of literally, when I say literally, I mean literally solving the world's problems. He takes time out of his day to listen to people like Nick Shirley. Now, Nick Shirley is a guy, again, citizen journalist. I would just say journalist. But this is a guy who has been threatened by Antifa many times. And he talks about the difference between what he does and the journalists on TV.
Yeah, my name's Nick Shirley. I'm 23 years old. I'm a 100% independent YouTube journalist. And over the past year or so, I've been able to go to 15 countries. I've hung out with people in the gangs of Brazil, in the favelas, in the prisons of Secot. But yet the most dangerous places I have been here in the United States, unfortunately. And I've had the opportunity to show people about the protest Antifa here in the United States, and there's nothing organic about what they are doing here in the United States. I've watched people be bussed in from states. I've watched the same lady at a protest in Atlanta be bussed to the protest in D.C. and then in New York City.
So you got Nick Shirley and just what he's saying. One of the things that really surprised me about that comment was he's been to some awful places. But he talks about the most dangerous place he's ever been is in an American city with Antifa there. And he's talking about these Antifa members for such a loosely based organization, and I'm air quoting that, such a loosely based organization. They do seem awfully organized, busing the same people from place to place. Now, remember what Antifa is accused of doing, right? Trying to kill ICE agents, going after journalists like this guy, Nick Shirley, killing or hurting anyone who gets in the way. This is Antifa. And so Donald Trump, he's listening to these folks and he's trying to decide if, what kind of designation he believes that Antifa should have.
And people may wonder, what's the threat to us as Americans if we go? Well, you'll be labeled as a fascist, you'll be labeled as a Nazi, and they'll wish death upon you because they wish death upon me. Mm-hmm. And just last week in Portland, Oregon, I watched a lady get trapped in her car, surrounded by Antifa, and her sister messaged me after seeing the video. She said, the only reason I think my sister was safe is because you were there recording. I also was chased out by a member of Antifa who said he would smoke me, and next thing he knew, a DHS sniper had lasers on his chest. If he was not there, who knows what would have happened that day. These people are very dangerous, and people wonder how they're able to do it. It's the reason is because these cities are not enforcing the law.
Shocker, right? There's nothing that Nick Shirley is saying that we would say, oh, that's real surprising, right? Because you listen to talk radio. You pay attention to the news. I mean, this goes back to that whole conversation that we were having about what makes a real journalist in America today, right?
Did you happen to see Katie Davis Court?
I saw it. I don't have her audio, but if you want to pull it, I'd be glad to play that.
I don't have her audio, but I couldn't stop looking at her because she's with Post Millennial.
Right.
And she had huge black eye, and I'm looking at her like, is that a black eye? Is it maybe it's a shadow from her hair? Like, I couldn't tell. Turns out she was out doing her work as a citizen journalist, and she got hit. One of the Antifa members used a flagpole.
Like a flagpole and hit her in the eye.
In the eye.
Yep. And we talked about that the other day where she's just like, this is what's happening. And if I remember right, the cops didn't do anything.
They didn't do a thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought she may have critiqued Katie Porter's potatoes.
Potatoes would have been an easier
throw.
But to your question, Dan, he's looking to label, according to Bloomberg, he's looking to label Antifa as a foreign terrorist organization.
Yeah, foreign terrorist organization, which I believe that he should. And that was the whole point of Nick Shirley, where he says, I've seen Antifa in London, I think he said. But remember where Antifa, and as you listen to this audio, and I've got a lot of it, realize ultimately they believe that they know where the money is coming from, and that is George Soros. And so this whole thing is designed to go after the money, to follow the money, right? That's what they need to do, is follow the money. If they can, and I believe that they can, prove that George Soros is the one that is funding Antifa, like a lot of folks say, well, then they've got him dead to rights. And I don't know what they charge him with. A lot of people have been talking about RICO charges and so forth. We'll have to wait and see. But none of this would be possible if it weren't for those soft on crime policies of these cities across America.
And why should these people be worried if the law is not being enforced? And we are not far right, nor are we far wrong. We're just right. And the truth about what's happening here in America with these groups is very dangerous, and I thank you, Mr. President, and your administration as well for acknowledging that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love that, and one of the things I did notice as this conversation was continuing was you had a lot of these citizen journalists who they've been screaming about this for a long time. I mean, for many years. They got no traction in the mainstream media. They got no traction, obviously, with the Biden administration. No one outside of, people like us were paying attention, would give them any attention. And so when I say, wow, gee, who's a real journalist? Is it Caitlin Collins or is it, Jack Posobiec or Nick Shirley or Nick Sorter, right? I believe that it is the citizen journalists, the street journalists, whatever you want to say, that go out into the streets. One of my favorite moments was when one of these guys, one of these citizen journalists, calls out the media in the room to their face, in front of Pam Bondi, in front of Trump, of course. Who else? It was Pam Bondi, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, I think, was there, right?
Yeah.
With Marco Rubio's 15 different jobs, he was there as well. By the way, real quickly, I did mention Jack Posobiec, and he is going to be on with Chris Handit today after the news at 10. And Posobiec, he was there at this roundtable meeting. So all of this is very cool. And I love that Trump is giving them a platform. And one of my favorite moments when all of this conversation was going on is a citizen journalist calls out the media in the room covering the meeting with Donald Trump. And he says, you real journalists, and I'm air quoting, you real journalists out there, you're not doing your jobs.
I'm attacked every time I do my job. When I leave my house to go to work, I am violently assaulted. I've had guns pulled on me. I've been bear sprayed. I've been beaten down. I've been almost killed. So my question for all of you is, how would you feel if every time you showed up to work, masked militants tried to kill you? Because that's how we feel. That's our lived reality. And you guys go and tell us that we're liars, the riots aren't that bad, right? I've never seen any of you guys on the ground. In fact, I've never seen anybody representing the companies you work for on the ground. You guys come to us for interviews that never get published. Mm-hmm. Stop saying we're lying. We're not.
Yeah, I love that, because that's one of the narratives they will say is, oh, well, you know, the same people that will say, well, crime's not a problem in Chicago. Crime's not a problem in Portland. They'll say Antifa doesn't exist. They'll say Antifa isn't a threat. Well, tell that to this citizen journalist who is literally threatened every single day.
We're lying. We're not. We risk our lives every day to do the job that you guys are too afraid to do.
What network would you say is the worst, if I could ask?
Oh, this is fun.
Yeah, that's a real tight spot.
Honestly, it's a simple question.
There's a lot of people in this pool, and I would say I'm not talking about Fox. I'm not talking about Newsmax or any outlet that resembles them. So I'll let you guys put the pieces together on who I'm exactly talking about.
Who would you say? Which network?
MSNBC for sure.
Oh, they're terrible. I agree. They're
CNN,
terrible.
probably close. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rate it that way. Yeah, MSNBC. That's Brian Roberts.
Yeah.
That he allows that to happen is
go get him, Trump.
A disgrace.
Absolutely.
And CNN is second.
Yeah, second.
I would say CNN is not quite as bad as MS.
MSNBC is not really a news site anymore.
Oh, MSNBC is sick. Yeah. They're sick.
Yep, there you go, Donald Trump. And he is right, obviously. And I do, again, I love that Trump gave room to allow these journalists, these citizen journalists, to talk about how bad Antifa is. But you know, these citizen journalists who they're getting beaten up. And some of this stuff is on video. Nick Sorter was on video. We covered that extensively yesterday. So now the question is this. What will designating Antifa as a foreign terrorist organization, what does it actually mean? Well, again, think about where this could ultimately lead. George Soros, right? So they can freeze the assets of Antifa, and if they can follow that trail of money all the way up to George Soros, then perhaps they can bring him up on some sort of charges. You know, a lot of these Antifa members, this is I find fascinating, is a lot of these Antifa people, they're like white young adults who live with their parents. They're rich parents, which is crazy. Consequences, again, if you designate them as a foreign terrorist organization, consequences perhaps can be more severe if you are found to be helping Antifa execute their vandalism, execute their assault, execute their terror. They talk about travel restrictions as well. When you read about this, there's a lot of people that do talk about how it is going to be difficult to pin some of this stuff on Antifa and follow the money, because oftentimes the money is very localized. Although don't forget, so basically follow the money tree, right? Let's just say, for example, it's George Soros, where he's given money, they give money to local organizations or to state organizations. That money filters to local organizations, and that money filters to other organizations. And everybody plays the game. This is how they play the game. It is really difficult to track. And so I don't know if they're going to be able to do this or not. I don't believe that Donald Trump is blowing smoke. I don't believe that he is. I think that the president is trying to do everything that he possibly can to try to neutralize Antifa and ultimately get our cities under control. I loved what Kash Patel had to say. This is Kash Patel, and he is talking about working with Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, on following the money.
Every single seed, money, donor, organization, and funding mechanism that we have. And I want to echo the Secretary's comments on Scott Bessent, who's allowing us to map out these networks through their financial criminal activities, which has been going on for decades. And I would like to remind the American public, they built this disease temple of corruption over decades. And in 8 short months, Mr. President, you have crippled their foundation because of your leadership here, because of the interagency, because of people like Deputy Attorney General Blanche, and because of Attorney General Pam Bondi's fearless leadership to go after criminals wherever they are. They will not be able to hide. They were able to hide and conspire with prior administrations, and we are exposing their corruption from within. And we will go to every single city in this country under Operation Summer Heat and the other operations we are doing at the FBI to bring these criminals to justice. We will arrest every single one of them from whatever perch you sit in, private or public, no matter how your goal or your ambition is. It will be crushed by the Constitution because the American people deserve law and order, and that's what we're going to give you.
I love that. Kash Patel. I mean, I am more impressed with Kash Patel every day. Some people are going to scoff at that, whatever. Scoff away, if you will. But I think that Kash Patel is doing a great job. Also, let's not forget, I think Chris Hand, didn't Chris have this Ryan, is it Morrow, on his broadcast? Somebody told me that he was. This is the guy that did an investigative piece at his site, capitalresearch.org. And he was able to track George Soros and $80 million of funding going to Antifa.